The 18 Strong Podcast, episode number 363 with Jeff Lovecchio, retired professional hockey player and performance enhancement coach. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the 18 Strong Podcast, where we're here to help you build a stronger game because we believe that every golfer deserves to play better longer. This episode is going to be a great one for you. We have Jeff Lovecchio on. He's a retired professional hockey player. And I know that sounds a little strange to have a hockey player come on a golf podcast, but as you're going to see with Jeff, he's much more than just a hockey fitness coach. He is a mental game coach. He is a mentor to a lot of the athletes that he works with. And it's all about not just the fitness side, but the nutrition, the recovery, the mobility, the stability, working on all of the different pieces of the game to train more like an athlete, whether you're a hockey player, whether you're a CEO, or whether you're just somebody looking to train and become the best version of yourself in the gym and outside of the gym. So you're going to really enjoy this episode with Jeff. We share a lot of the same philosophies when it comes to training, and his Instagram account has been very influential in some of the things that we do at 18 Strong and the way that we train, the way we work on mobility, and the way we work on getting the golfers moving the way we want. So stay tuned right after this. Our partners over at Linksole have been providing us with the best apparel for both on the course and off the course, from polos to t-shirts like the one I have on right now. Everything that they have is meant to be worn from the golf course to wherever you're going next, whether that be casual, whether that be to the beach. There's all different options over there. So go to 18strong.com/Linksole. You'll get 20% off of anything in your cart over on Linksole's website. So again, 18strong.com/Linksole for our favorite brand of apparel for anything on the golf course and off. Now let's get to this week's interview. Jeff Lovecchio, welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, man.
Happy to be here. This gym, this office, everything's very, very cool. I'm really excited.
We're slowly but surely getting the studio set up and just kind of getting it a little fancy here.
Yeah, it's super clean, man. I love it.
Well, it's kind of brand new, so we're getting,
it's like everything's dope.
Don't stop it. It might fall off the wall, you know?
It looks awesome. I love it.
So it sounds like you got a bunch of your hockey guys back in town for the winter break and everything, so you're running like a madman right now.
Yeah. Guys are home. So I got some guys that are home for a week, some that are home for 3 days, some that are home for 2 weeks, kind of depending on the school or the team if they're playing juniors. So just trying to get everybody in and feeling good so they go back to their second half confident and ready to go.
So what does that look like in the gym right now? Is it like teams coming in? What's the flow like over there?
Basically, it's just like I have a couple of different like businesses, I guess, within my own business, like sub headings, I guess I would say. But these are all like my off-season guys. They're the guys who in the off-season for anywhere from 4 to 6 months, depending on what league and when they get home. They're with me 4 days a week, and we go to battle every single day. And that's where in the off-season you really get your body like not only healthy, but like you try to make performance gains and stuff like that. You work on your skills on the ice. I only do off the ice now because I'm in there all day. Excuse me, but during Christmas break, hockey's kind of crazy. Like, it's not like other sports. I was just explaining this at the doctor's office I was just at. Like, if you play golf, football, basketball, lacrosse, any of these other sports, you train on ground, you play on ground.
Yeah.
In hockey, you train on ground, you play on ice. Walking and skating are not the same. Running and skating are not the same. So, like, in season, when they're doing all this athletic stuff on the ice, I actually peel back like the athleticism in the gym because I want the main thing to be the main thing. I don't want to ever take away from the main thing. Also, these guys who play hockey now in juniors, you're playing so many games, they practice so much. So I also have to think about like what empty buckets are they not hitting? I want to fill up those empty buckets, and I don't want to overflow the buckets they're already getting. So it's more strength, like prehab, mobility, core, making sure they're healthy, and more GPP, honestly. It's way more general because what they're doing out there is so specific. I don't want to double up on the specific and then create overuse injuries or anything like that,
Yeah, that's a good point. We see that a lot with the golfers too. Like, golfers, they're doing rotation all day long, right? And so when they go in the gym, a lot of people think, oh, I gotta rotate. It's like, no, actually, you need to do the other stuff and get stronger. And that makes a ton of sense, that they got to come in and they got to kind of reset and do a lot of the things that they're not getting when they're playing. What does the schedule look like? Because you're a former professional hockey player. When you guys are traveling, or when you were traveling, what does that look like? And what's it look like for these guys as far as like practice time? What are they doing workout-wise on the ice or on the road?
It really depends on the organization. And pro is so much different than college. And everything up to pro is very structured for everyone on the team, for the most part. You get to pro, and I've been retired this is my 7th year being retired. My last year was 17, 18. But like when I got to pro, it was like pretty much you're on your own. Like the game, you get into a city, practice tomorrow's at 10 a.m. The game's at 7. You got to be at the rink at 9 and 5. And then after that, like do whatever you want.
Really?
It's like hands off, especially at the higher levels, right? Some teams will do some like workout stuff. On the road, it's not a lot of workout stuff. But now the NHL signed a deal with Anchor 2 years ago. So every NHL away locker room has to have 2 of those.
Oh, awesome.
So I would work out after games, because like you can only get so much working out during the week because games are kind of like all over the place. So after a game, if you don't have a game the next day, a lot of guys will do like something like bands or body weight if they're on the road. I always had like a bag inside my hockey bag with bands and sliders, and just so I could rip out like 12 minutes. And then I looked at it as, okay, like I just played the game, I do the workout immediately after. Well, now that's only one thing my body has to recover from, instead of waking up on an off day and then going in and training. Well, now it's like recover from this, I'm tired, recover from this. So I try to stack them whenever I could.
Yeah.
So I think pro hockey guys work out, when in the week when it makes sense, and then after the last game of the weekend or whatever, a bunch of guys will put in at least a little bit of work.
So did I hear that when you were playing pro hockey, you started training your teammates?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. I became the unofficial strength coach on almost every team I played on in Europe. So I played 3 years in the U.S. I had a year I was injured. I missed a whole first year of my NHL contract with a concussion.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, that was awful. And then I went overseas. And so after my 3rd year pro, the summer going into my 4th year, I started my training company here in St. Louis. And then I was already training myself. I trained myself my whole pro career. And I just started training a couple kids. And then all the teams in Europe, European people probably won't like to hear this, but at least every team I played on and all the guys I played with that were on the national teams of the countries I played in, their training was so far behind like what I think where it should be.
Yeah. Very
like 1980s, like kind of a mixture between powerlifting and bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we don't do that, like that's really not helping that. So guys would see me and I'd win testing everywhere I went. I always was in the best shape. I had to be. I wasn't skilled enough not to. So like I had to be, or else I would have been there. And then they, I don't like what we're doing. I'll work out with Vex. And then all of a sudden everybody's working out with me. And then the coach is like, all right, you just write the workout. So I just started, and then I'd become friends with the strength coaches and talk to them about my philosophies. We go back and forth. I was never like pushing it on them, but it would always turn out like a month in, all right, we're going to do what Vex is doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So give us a little background. I mean, I know your story, but for the people listening, watching, so you left home at like age 15 to go, and that's kind of how hockey is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably surprised. Did you ever think you'd be on a golf podcast, by the way?
No, honestly, because I've never golfed. I've never done a full round of golf, and I've only hit the ball a few times. And funny, because now I look back, I wish I would have learned it because I know that it would have helped me be a better athlete. And the mental side of golf, mm-hmm. I think that helps any human being at anything they want to do. You hit a crappy shot, you can't let that crappy shot affect you. You've got to calm down, recenter, focus up, hit the next shot, make sure that's good. The past is the past. Mm-hmm. You can't change that. That would have helped me immensely in my sports psychology journey of being a pro athlete. So I wish I would have, but we would leave the gym when I was training in like juniors in college, even pro, and like all the guys who were training with me, whatever, like they'd go golf, and I'd either do more in the gym or I would be like, I just sweat for 3 hours. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Yeah.
You're gonna go sit outside in 100-degree weather in St. Louis. But looking back, I wish I would have learned.
Well, yeah, because several of the guys like Wides, I know like those guys, they go work out in the summertime, go work out, go play golf.
Yeah, and they're all sticks too. They're all good. Wides is good. Freddie, Rushoff. I got a guy who's like 6'7", 240, and I think he's almost a scratch golfer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, TJ Friedman, another really good golfer. Like a lot of hockey players are good golfers, probably because the swing is very similar where the power's coming from and things like that, I think. Yeah. I wish I would have golfed, man. But I'm going to get into it. Well, I might be hitting you up for lessons, man.
We're going to test that swing out today a little. You saw the pit over there.
Oh God, it's going to be terrible.
So back to your start. You know, you left home at 15. Went to
Chicago.
Chicago?
I went to Chicago to play midgets. That's before juniors. So for anybody who doesn't know, basically to get a scholarship to play hockey, you go from like amateur hockey to junior hockey, which is going to be probably not in your hometown. I mean, there are some people who play in their hometown. And then you get your scholarship out of there to then go to college. So like football, baseball, basketball, golf, it's like high school into college. A lot of players in hockey have to take 1 or 2 gap years where they're playing this junior hockey before they get to college.
Gotcha.
And I went to Chicago to play midget hockey when I was 15 and 16. But it was 1 year. And then I went and played in the USHL in Omaha, Nebraska for 3 years before I got my scholarship to Western Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so the pro career comes in, three years at Western Michigan, right? And then drafted by the Bruins.
I signed with them as a free agent.
Bruins?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wasn't drafted. So I was able to sign with any team in the NHL if they wanted me, obviously. I had a really, really good sophomore year in college, and a lot of teams in the NHL wanted to sign me. I decided to stay 1 more year, and then I wound up signing with the Bruins and left school.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what happened that first year. Sounds like you've had multiple injuries, issues. So tell us a little bit about that story, because I think that really leads into, in my personal opinion, just watching you from afar, into like really what has helped build you into the person, the coach that you are today.
Yeah. So the way that it works for almost every guy who signs in the NHL from college, almost all those guys, now some guys will go straight to the NHL for some games. I have a couple who have done that of my clients, but usually they put you in the AHL for the rest of that season to get your feet wet, to learn what pro hockey's like, just kind of get introduced into the systems so that you're ready to go for the first real year of your contract the next year. And so I did that. And because I was at Western and we didn't have a good year that year, we were bounced in the playoffs right away. I signed with the Bruins, and I was on a plane 2 days later. I went to Boston, got testing done, all that, signed my contract, go down to Providence, Rhode Island, which is only like 45-minute drive. And I finished the season there. And I was there for like 3 or 4 months because we had the best team in the AHL ever at that point. They was the most winningest team in the regular season ever. And I got to play a pretty significant role as a new guy coming up, and I did really well. And they're like, we really like you. You're going to play in the NHL one day, all this stuff. And I go home in the summer to start my training, and I just had like a freak accident in like practice, basically. Was skating full speed. I went to stop. There were bubbles all over the ice because this crappy ice rink in town, the ceiling dripped, and there's these like massive bubbles. And I remember vaguely being on the ice that morning and being like, guys, we got to like cut the bubbles out so we don't hit them. And I guess I hit one going full speed, head first to the boards, unconscious. I lost over 12 hours of my memory that I have nothing, zero memory, almost zero memory whatsoever from. I lost memory from the day before. And, so that happened like end of June, I want to say it was, mid-June, maybe beginning of July. And I didn't play a real game in hockey again until a full year, and then like end of September the following year.
Whoa. Yeah,
I thought I was never going to play again. I could have taken insurance payout that was like really high for, just really not even playing yet. And they gave me 10 games to decide. Like you can play 9 games, but if you play your 10th game, this is the insurance company, you'll never be covered for concussions again, and you obviously won't get this payout. If you take the payout, you can never play pro hockey again. And that's a really tough decision after sitting.
You're how old at this time?
I was probably 23.
Okay.
And it was like 450 grand,
Whoa.
tax-free, into your bank account. Really hard decision just as far as I haven't worked out, like for 8 months, 6 to 8 months, I didn't work out. I lost all my muscle mass because I was not eating because I was worried about getting fat. And then if I came back, it would take longer for me if I gained a bunch of weight, just like all this stuff. But me, who I am, I remember that the insurance guy who called actually was a former NHL player, captain, one of my pro clients later on in my business because his dad's played for the Blues. He's the one who called me, and I remember where I was in the rink, and he's like, okay, Jeff, like, you got a game tonight with the Bruins. You've got 9 more games or 8 more games. If you play the 10th game, you'll not be covered. If you want to retire now, we'll give you this money, blah, blah, blah. And before he even finished the sentence, I was like, nope, I'm trying. And he's like, you don't want to ask your doctors, nope. You want to ask your nope. Agent, nope. I'm trying. I didn't work my whole life not to try.
Yeah.
And although my career was different than it would have been, because it was always in my head, I was always thinking about it. I had to play just slightly differently of a game because I used to play kind of recklessly and kind of just like do whatever I had to. I had to kind of change my style. But it did allow me to get paid to play hockey all over the world for 9 more years after that. And I am who I am today because of that. And I'm a better coach because I played in different countries and had to get around cultural, language barriers, ideological barriers. And so all of that stuff that I went through after because of that is why I'm where I am today, why I am the coach I am today, why I approach things from a different lens maybe than other people. So, I always say to people, if you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon, it's a pretty good place to be. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what happened to me.
Everybody you're here in St. Louis, I'm here in St. Louis, and we have several mutual friends, and this is the first time we've ever met, sat down with each other, but everybody that I've talked to has said, like, Jeff just comes in and he's just like a force to be reckoned with. Like his attitude, his mentality is different than any coach you've ever worked with. And I think that just speaks to, like the experiences that you've had and the way that you train and what I've seen you do online. It's really, really impressive to see how you work with not just the pro athletes, but the kids too. So I want to talk a little bit about the youth hockey players that you work with and just the mentality you have going in, working with them, because I know it's about more than just their fitness to you. It's about way more. And so give us a little bit of your philosophy. I want to get into GMBM, what that means. So if you could just kind of start about, where you start working with the kids and the mindset and mentality you start working with.
I mean, first and foremost was, I don't like saying this to people because it sounds discouraging. Like the amount of athletes that play hockey, and probably all sports, especially ones where there's more people playing, the odds of you getting a scholarship are extremely low. The odds of you going pro in any sport are astronomically even lower than that even, right? And I don't like saying that to discourage people because like I played pro hockey. I train all these guys in St. Louis that have played pro hockey and stuff like that. It's possible. But if we look at numbers just the way they are, the odds of your son or daughter playing professional sports is very, very low. But the learning to invest in themselves through learning to eat right, learning to go to bed on time, discipline, responsibility, pushing yourself to do things you didn't think you could do, pushing yourself today knowing that it's not going to pay off for a week, a month, a year, multiple years. Like, when I used to start with young players, you're 9, 10, 11. Yeah, you're not going to look like my NHL guys for 10 years.
Yeah.
But like, if you do show up every day, we're making strides. And that delayed gratification and learning how important that is for life after sports, I think it's massively important for kids to learn all that. And it's not like I'm like hammering them with that stuff, like talking about that in the gym all the time, but I am talking to them about that stuff. Hey, later in life, like I'm so proud of you that you teaching them to go talk to their coach.
Yeah.
Little kids, especially in today's world, I don't know how golf is with coaching and stuff like that, but parents want to step in. They want to talk to the coach. Why isn't he on the power play? What can Johnny do? No. When they're in their job, when they're out of college or whatever, you're not going to their work to talk to their boss. So you're literally handcuffing them later in life by you doing everything for them. So like I had a guy yesterday who decommitted to a college because he's going to go to maybe a more prestigious one. And he asked, well, can I do it over the phone? And I said, hey man, you can. And I know this sucks and I know this is hard, but I promise you doing this in person right now at 17 years old is going to allow you to do so many things later in life that are hard for you. Because he was nervous, he was shaking, he didn't want to do it. And I was just like, you can do it over the phone, but I would really, really love you to do this in person. Look coach in the eye, shake his hand, that type of thing. Because I know what that's going to do for him walking into a meeting in college if the coach is sitting him. Right now, it's him going in. You can't call a college coach if you're a mom or dad. They're going to cut that kid, or they're going to be like, this guy, get out of here. Same thing with work later in life. So by me kind of making sure they're doing all these things that I know are going to help them, both in hockey and in life after hockey, I just want to make sure that like I'm always focusing on that stuff. And then just health for the rest of their life. Our country is embarrassingly overweight, embarrassingly obese, embarrassingly metabolic syndrome. Like we're just so unhealthy. So also, if we can use sports as leverage to get them to learn how to be healthy here, I think we should use that because it will help them there. But also, it's going to get them into good routines. They're going to like fitness. They're going to like working out and stuff like that. So I think that's really important for little kids. My philosophy of little kids is first and foremost, they have to want to come back. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've got to make it fun. You know, like I can have you do what pro guys do, but pro guys are getting paid $1 million to be in shape. This little kid is not. So I'm going to hide a sprint in a game. I'm going to hide a coordination in a game where they're playing with their friends. They don't even know that they're working on all these things. And then they want to come back. And if they want to come back, they're going to get better results, especially on a long enough timeline.
When you're working with the adults, the non-professional athletes, because you work with a lot of them too, but the whole thing is training like an athlete, right? Do you find that sometimes it's difficult to get those people into that same mindset of like, hey, we're not just here to lift weights, we're here to talk about the whole piece of it?
Usually like people who come in the first time and they know people who've been in, they're kind of like, oh, this isn't going to be hard and whatever. Because like, I don't show... We lift more weights than anybody I know. My volume is very high. I do a lot of very high volume days, but it's not traditional weightlifting as far as barbell bench press, barbell back squat, barbell deadlift. Okay, so you're not doing those, but you're still lifting a lot of weights, but I don't show that stuff because a lot of people know about lifting weights. So on social media, I show a lot of the other things we do because I literally just want to teach people what I'm doing that's working. Hey, this works for over 10,000 people I've worked with. Yeah. So like, I'm just showing you, and if you want to try it, see how it goes. So I show that stuff over the lifting. So when somebody new comes in and they're kind of like, it's going to be easy. And then they're like, holy shit, I can't even move. And I didn't know I couldn't do any of these things that to me are very basic, like a lateral lunge. Mm-hmm. The amount of people that come to me that aren't athletes and can't do a lateral lunge to me blows my mind. Yeah. But it's because they either aren't exercising, haven't been, or they're in a phone booth with all their training, is what I call it. Like if you could do all of your exercises inside of a phone booth, you're not training for life or to be an athlete on the whole. It doesn't mean you never do those exercises, as you know, because it's hard to explain this to people who don't understand training, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying never do any type of deadlift. We trap our deadlift, but like we do other things more often than we do that thing.
Right.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to go into this unless I like took 20 minutes to explain the philosophy. Yeah. You know, but and then as soon as they come in, like they enjoy it, they have fun, they're sore in places that they're never sore, even if they go work out every day, because they're just in the same pattern, the same plane of motion, and I get them out of that.
Yeah. You get them moving in all the different directions. And really that's one of the things why I wanted to bring you on, because just watching so many of your videos, and we repost a lot of your stuff, and I'm like, because all of this applies to whether you're a golfer, whether you're a hockey player, whether you're a CEO, whatever you are, you need to be moving, get your body moving, stay healthy, sleep, recover. One of the pieces I heard you talking about on Jillian's podcast was the importance of the warm-up. Yeah. And I'll be honest, like that's one of the things in my own personal workouts that's really easy to skip, right? Like I just want to go and get it done. Right. You're busy, you run around all day, you're working with clients. It's like, let me just get to the meat and potatoes. Yeah. But could you talk a little bit about the importance of, because this goes into not just the golfer's workout, but playing golf itself too.
Right.
So going to the importance of the warm up and
yeah, I mean, so like there's people out there who are like, have you ever seen a tiger warm up? Have you ever seen a lion warm up? And I'm like, but are you a tiger or a lion? No, you're not. Is a tiger or a lion eating McDonald's every day and sitting at a desk like this for 9 hours, 10? No, they don't. They're walking around all day. So they're warm all day, you know, and they're outside and it's hot. So like they're also warm. Their core temperature is elevated. So like it's such a stupid argument. But I think I use my warm-ups as not only is it a warm, it's like not just, oh, you're just doing things to warm up. Like you're warming up. I'm also focusing on prehab, you know, trying to bulletproof the joints. Obviously you can't bulletproof your joints, but it's an easy saying to get the client to understand why we're doing it. And that's all I care about. So like we're going to work on everything around the joints. We're going to work on mobility. We're going to work on prehab. We're going to heat up your internal temperature. We're going to get some core exercise going. We're going to get your brain and your body talking to each other, because odds are you've been sitting in the car, sitting at a desk, doing all these things, not like thinking about movements and how your toe connects to your finger when you're doing a throw or something like that, right? So it's like there's a lot of reasons that I do the warm-ups that we do. And I just, everyone who does it is like, I always lift more when I do this. And I'm like, yes, I know. That's why we do this, you know,
Right.
lift more and you feel better, you move better. It's not like we're just like doing like a 5-minute dynamic and it's the same thing every time. You know, you just, if you're warm, you heat it up before you beat it up. I don't know. That's what I was saying.
I love it. Yeah,
right? Like,
I love it.
Like you're just going to feel better. And for me, if somebody feels better, that's a win. Even if nothing physiologically changes, it's like, okay, I took a placebo of a medicine, but I got healthier because of it. So that placebo worked.
Right.
Like it wasn't a pill, it was a sugar pill. You didn't know that, but your body did something because you thought you were taking a pill. So part of the warm-up is part of that. This is a routine. This is what we do every day. They know what to expect. And obviously the main part is internal core temperature going up, prehab, mobility, stability. We work on stability before that stuff. Also, when you turn on all those proprioceptors, running, jumping, agility, lifting, you got everything turned on. I know not everything turns off, all right? I use language that the clients understand, and that's all I care about. I know you're not turning muscles on, but to say that to somebody who doesn't know what we know, they're like, yeah, I'm turning my muscle on. I get why I'm doing this. That's all I care about.
I can tell that you've gotten comments on social media of people saying,
Back in the day,
turn it off. You know.
Back in the day when I started putting my stuff out there, and even like I used to have Twitter. I didn't have Instagram when I played, but I had Twitter, and you know, you just see people that say stupid things, don't understand, or they want to use big words all the time. And it's like, man, if your client doesn't want to be here, if he doesn't understand what you're saying, like you're not accomplishing what you think you are.
Yeah.
You're not getting 100% buy-in out of the client, and they're not, because they're not bought in, they're not getting everything out of whatever system you're running. So like, I don't care. Like we need them to be in the place that's going to get them the most out of this training session. And that's all I care about. That's it. I don't care about what you, that's it. Are you in the best place? Do you want to come back? Are you giving your all every time? That's what I care about.
Where did and when did your perception of what training was shift?
Mike Boyle.
Yeah.
Mike Boyle. Well, okay, so the first thing that changed my mind. So I started working out at 15 and a half right before I moved to Chicago for like 2 months. And then I went to Chicago and I was super weak compared to my cousin who was the same age as me, 5'4", and probably 40 pounds less than me. And I remember he bench pressed at his house 90 pounds, 25s and the bar. And I'd never bench pressed yet. And I'm like, 5'4", my little cousin. Yeah. I get up, I dropped it on my chest. I'm like, oh my God, what? Okay, I got to start working out. So I got into working out then. And from then on, I won testing everywhere I went. Everywhere I went, I was the most in shape guy. It was my calling card. I also, like I said earlier, I had to be because I wasn't skilled as all of my teammates. Like it wasn't like a massive drop off, but like I was not good enough to be there if I didn't do all this other stuff. So that kind of became a calling card of mine. I realized this is my in. You know, other guys aren't training as hard or as like intentional. So the more I do this, I get like a little bit of separation. And so I had to. But after my freshman year, the Washington Capitals invited me to their development camp. That's every summer. Their draft picks, their new pros, they have come to camp. It's usually anywhere from like 40 to 60 guys, depending on the team. And I went there and I was smoke testing. There was one guy who beat my bench press. I think I was 190 at the time. I think I did like 275 7 times barbell bench press. And hockey players don't bench a lot. Like So they did back then a little bit more, but that was a good number, especially at 190. One guy did beat me from Ohio State, but after I go 275, I think pretty sure 7 times, their 5th overall draft pick, Nicholas Backstrom, I think he's still in the NHL today. He won Rookie of the Year that year, and the media was all over this guy, like he's going to be amazing, and he was. He literally could not bench the warm-up weight of 135. And I remember watching him after I went. He was right after me, and he went, and I'm just like, that was embarrassing. And then I was like, wait a minute. This guy is going to be in the NHL this year, right now. And he was the 5th overall pick, and he can't bench my warm-up weight. But he's way better at hockey than me. And there's roles in hockey, and I'm not the same role as him. But at its core, I'm training the wrong way. Whatever he's doing is helping him be a better hockey player. And I can't even bench my warm-up weight. And I'm not anywhere near the NHL yet. Like, I was like, pfft. And then the strength coach at the camp for the Capitals then, his name was Jack Blatherwick. He's like the father of USA hockey strength training. He was the 1980 Olympic team's gold medalist strength coach. And he's the one who said to me, and this would have been 2000, after my freshman year, 04 or 05, this would have been 2006. He said to me, because I just started asking him questions. As soon as he said something to me, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And I'm just asking him everything. I'm standing by him everywhere I could, asking him why, how, when should we do this? And he was like, Jeff, if you can do all your training in a phone booth, you're training the wrong way. And I was like, what do you mean? And then he like showed me all the exercises and what they look like, and all of them are in a phone booth. He's like, but is hockey like this? Are your feet still? Are you doing this? And I was like, no. And he's like, then are you training to be a hockey player? And I was like, well, that makes sense, because I'm winning all these tests, but when I go on the ice, my balance isn't as good. I'm not the strongest guy on the ice. I'm the strongest guy in the gym, but I'm not the strongest guy on the ice. What's with the disconnect? But like, nothing I was doing in the gym, and it doesn't need to look the same as the ice, but like the way that I was training with barbells, back squats, hang cleans, snatches, all deadlifts, all that stuff, no matter how good I got at it, I wasn't getting any better at the ice. And then I read, the next year after I signed, I bought Mike Boyle's book, Advances in Functional Strength Training. And I read that book in 2 days, 3 days, and I literally was like, that's what's missing right there. And it was mainly unilateral training. And so from then on, and that was 2007 when I read the book, my philosophies on training, how I approach training, programming, everything changed. And not only did my strength not drop, I got stronger in the weight room, and on the ice, I immediately got better, immediately more comfortable, immediately better balance, immediately like just all these positive benefits. And then from there on, I just tried to add more and more into my training. Okay, well, like, yeah, lifting is training, but all we're doing right now is lifting, running, and jumping. That's all it was. But like, if I close my eyes and try to play hockey, I can't play. So how important are my eyes? Okay, well, I should start training my eyes. Part of that came from my concussion stuff. Okay. My vestibular system was mangled. Yeah. I had to do vestibular training 3 days a week for like, I think it was like 4 to 5 months. And as soon as I finished that, I kept doing the vestibular work. And I was like, holy crap, why is no one training their eyes? So in 2008, I'm telling everybody, start training your eyes. And they're like, what are you talking about?
What does that mean?
What does that mean, right? And so like, I started bringing in lots of coordination, lots of playing with depth and spatial awareness, because hockey is so much about, okay, I know you're this far, so what skills can I do here versus if I'm over there versus if I'm right in tight? Like, all of that is happening on the ice every shift, but nobody worked on that in the gym. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, just lifting weights, running and jumping, like, yes, do all that, but let's do more. And so in my warm-ups, I do a lot of that stuff, vestibular, coordination, spatial awareness, stuff like that too.
Yeah, I was wondering where you piece that in. So that's mostly in the warm-up kind of stuff?
I usually do all that stuff within the warm-up before we get going, because the guys have energy, the guys are fresh. I also think that like your eyes, like I said, if you try to play hockey with your eyes closed or golf, you suck.
Or just stand on one leg. Most people can't stand on one leg.
Right, so it's like I put a lot of that in there. And then also, it's over 25 years old, but I use it with guys younger than 25 anyways, and they all feel better. So that's all I care about. But over 25, neuroplasticity when you're tired, if you work on it, like it helps way more. So like I started bringing in like neuroplasticity drills and vestibular system drills, eye drills while they're tired. So in between sets, I might be throwing balls or juggling or doing something.
Right.
Because especially in hockey, everybody knows that if you get caught out in the defensive zone at the end of a shift, the first thing that goes is your brain. Like you just start going all over the ice, you forget the system, like you just stop thinking and like you just become an idiot. So it's like I want to challenge their brain, their eyes, all this stuff while they're tired because that's going to happen on the ice.
Right.
So
that's fascinating. I'm just thinking like when guys get to the 15th, 16th hole, they're tired, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Whether they're a pro golfer, whether they're a collegiate golfer, or whether they're just a guy on a golf trip on the second day that's in his 40s or 50s,
right.
doing that kind of stuff. Because then it's a lot of dexterity stuff too. So like doing some training, getting a putter out, and it's not a time to really work on skills necessarily, right?
But it's more like the capacity.
Yeah.
When you're tired.
Decision making.
Yeah, decision making when you're tired. And that's like so important. And it's something that I think more and more trainers are starting to add that stuff, but still most don't. And it's like, dude, go back to why are we training? Because when I was younger, the way I was training made me way better in the weight room. But at a certain point, I stopped getting better on the ice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a pro hockey player. All that matters is the ice. I don't care how much I bench press unless an increase means I'm better out there. Mm-hmm. And I want guys to bench press a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like, this is the main thing. So everything we're doing here, all I care about is, are your results better? Are you healthier? Are you getting injured less? All of those things is the reason why we're training. So like, I think that for all sports, there's a point of diminishing returns focusing on chasing one specific skill or attribute or strength or something like that, Let's work on the other things, and let's work on the other things in a way that you work on them on the ice when you're tired, when whatever,
When you have your guys in the gym or girls, at what point you talk about kind of the risk, the reward? I see online coaches working and getting people just trying to deadlift as much as possible. I know you and I, we're not back squat guys, right? But even the hex bar deadlift, right? It's a great exercise. But I see some of these golfers online, 400, 500 pound deadlifts, and I'm like, at what point is it just like you hit that?
Is the risk?
Yeah, your spine, your hips.
If the risk does not equal the reward, and I never want to scare anybody into trying things in the gym or doing things if they make sense. But like I'm saying, you've got to realize that what's the reward if I have 400 on the bar versus 450, and if 400 is my absolute most I've ever done. And now I try to jump up and keep jumping. Well, at what point does that not really help golf? And we could spend that time on other things. Mm-hmm. And now maybe we move the bar faster, or we do a tempo lift, or we do this, or we do that. Because you're not getting paid for your freaking PR on the trap bar.
Yeah.
You're getting paid to win at golf. So like, how much is that helping? And could our time be better spent? Mm-hmm. That's what I care. How much time do I have with you? Okay, well, that's going to decide another factor of what we're going to do, because we want to do things that will help the most with the amount of time, the resources, your body, all those types of things.
Let's take a second to thank our sponsors over at First Form. And this week, I want to highlight their Formula One post-workout protein shake. I use this thing pretty much every day after my workouts because, let's face it, being here in the gym, working all the time with clients, putting on a podcast, it can sometimes be tough to get my protein in on a regular basis. And so I know that with the post-workout shake, the Formula One, first of all, it's fast acting. So right after your workout is a great time to get your protein in to help build your muscles, get yourself stronger, and repair what you've done in the gym. But also, if you don't know if you're gonna be able to get your protein in your regular meals, it's just a great way to make sure that you're supplementing and hitting those marks. So be sure to go over to firstform.com/18strong to get your First Form Formula One protein shake. And everyone that enters through that link is going to be put into a drawing every single month for free First Form products. So again, go over to firstform.com/18strong. Going back to when you were talking about the guy that was in the combine and, 135 pounds, and couldn't lift 135 pounds. We see the same thing in golf, right? You see these guys that are 5'6", 140 pounds, but they're hitting the ball 330, 340. You guys see it with guys with slap shots, things like that. Where do you see the most benefit as far as being able to improve something like that? Like, I was always amazed when I would see some of the hockey guys at a gym that I used to work at, and like the speed of their hands. It didn't matter how big and strong the guy was, but you see those guys let a wrist shot go or a slap shot, and it's like, holy shit. And then, but it's not because of how big and strong he is necessarily.
It's technique.
Right.
So much of sports is skill-based. So like the reason you're training is so that you can present your skill for longer towards the end of the game, 16th hole, 18th hole, whatever it is, when you're tired, like things like that. Like, and then obviously to increase your power output and things like that. But power development is very position specific. So like, yeah, a hang clean's working on your power, but does that look like anything you do in golf or hockey or almost any sport? Well, how about a med ball throw for a shot or a golf swing? That's power, and it's very position specific, and you're working those specific muscles, and you can go over speed, you can go heavier, you can do all these things. So for me, it's like, well, let's start with that trap bar or whatever it is to get some general strength, and then let's advance into more specific things that will help with whatever the skills that you need to demonstrate in your sport. It's hard. Everybody's different, you know, and it's also in like sports that have multiple like big rosters where every guy has a different role. Cause like you got 12 forwards on a team that are playing in a game in hockey, but like every player, every forward of those 12 has a little bit different role. They play a different style. So like you can also get into that, but there's just so many ways you can go about it. There's so many ways to skin the cat. You got to find what works for you, your body. What do you like? What do you like goes a lot into it. Everybody will get at me for this, but it's like, do you want to be there? We were talking about it today with all my college guys. Do you want to be in the gym? Because a lot of them will tell me like, I hate our lifts at school. I hate them. My body hurts, all this stuff. And to me, I'm just like, what if that guy wanted to be in there? What if he enjoyed the lifts he was doing? How much more would he get out of that? You know what I mean? Like that is such an important piece to training, because all of these people coming to train with us are training not to train. They're not trying to get better at the gym. They're trying to get better at something else. Yeah. And we as coaches have to keep that in mind. It's not what we want to do necessarily. It's what do they like doing? What do they want to do past like the things we know they need to do? Yeah. But it's our job to get them to understand why they need to do it and why they need to like it. I think that too,
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into the point right now, end of the year, January's coming up, and so it's like New Year's resolutions all around, right? And people are trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to get better next year? But I think to your point, like if you don't find something that you really want to do, like if you're just going to try to do something for 30 days or 90 days, and it's like it's going to be a grind every single time you do it. I mean, how realistic is that for you to stick to that? Yeah. So what would you say to somebody that's looking to make some changes next year, going into January, going into 24, that, maybe is not quite sure how to really start to get into building those habits or making those changes? Because I know that's a big piece of what you do too.
Yeah, I don't care what it is. If it's the gym, your body, your health, your business, your relationships. I'm a huge advocate for always trying to reverse engineer whatever you want to do. So if you got that, like you have to decide what you want to do and your why, because if you don't, it's like getting in your car and not putting anything in your GPS and hoping you get to the destination. You haven't picked a destination. You have to pick a destination so that I know, okay, this is what I want, or I want to be, or I want to do, or something. And now we can reverse backwards to January 1st, and now we can create steps to then work towards that. But if you don't say what your goal is, you can't reverse engineer it. And so the what is the goal? The why then is even more important. Why do you want that goal? And is that actually the goal you really want? Like you have to be very honest and specific with your why, because if you don't, you're not going to show up on the hard days. You're going to make more bad decisions. You're just not going to do everything with intention because you haven't established a strong enough why. Your why is fake. And a lot of people are embarrassed to say their why because it's like something deep down, but it's like, you got to connect to that. That is your purpose for why we're going to lay out all these steps, and you'll want to do these things because you know when it's hard, you're making them, putting them on the bike or the treadmill or whatever, and they're halfway through and they want to quit. But if you're the coach and you're saying, hey, you told me, is this your goal? You told me this is your goal.
Yeah.
This is why you're here. Don't you forget that. They're going to do it. But if they don't have that strong why, it's easy to quit. It's easy to take days off. It's easy to let that go because you just haven't created a strong enough reason why you're going to do all these things that are usually like harder to do. Making good decisions is harder than making bad decisions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, it's really important to do the what, the why, reverse engineer, create steps.
Is that something that you go through specifically with some of your guys? I know you've even got that on your wall, right?
What is your why?
What is your
on
why?
my wall, yeah. And all the time, I'm telling the guys, look up there. We're doing something hard. We're doing shuttles. The guys are tired. It's the middle of the summer, and they're kind of hitting that first lull or funk. Look up there. Why are you here? Why are you here? And I know what their whys are. And I also make them go over their whys every single day before every single session.
Really?
So to start every session in the off season, not the season, in the off season, after the guys come in, I have a board where it's like I want them to do like, it's anywhere from 5 to 10 things that day that I just, because some guys get there 20 minutes early, some guys show up right on time. I want them to get through these things quickly with intention, so then I can focus on all the stuff that we're going to do together. And right before we start together, I lay them down on their mats. I don't turn the lights off in the beginning, but I tell them to close their eyes and tell yourself why you're here. Why are you here? Not out loud, just to yourself. Why are you here? What are your goals? What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? What are your goals for today in the gym? What do you want out of hockey this year? And then I want you to tell yourself the specific number goals that you have for the season. Whether you're a goalie and it's like, I will have a 93 save percentage this year. I will play in over 55% of the games. Or a forward, I will score 20, and it's I will. Like I have it tattooed on me. I will. I want I will statements, not I want or not I hope, because that's bullshit language. Like I want it very specific. I believe the words we use in our own head matter, because they are going to be deep down inside of us. And then when we come to a fork in the road where it's like the way I should go or the way I shouldn't go, if you're always saying, I will, I will, I will, I will, you're just going to naturally make that good decision. That's going to get you towards the I will statement. If you're not doing that, it's easy to take the easy road, so we do that before every single session in off season.
I love that, man. It's like rehearsing that when you get to a tough spot, you already know this is the direction I'm taking. Because you've already kind of seen it. You already played it out, and it's like I don't have to waver which way. I'm moving in that direction.
And just the positive self-talk of like, there's days where we don't want to train, right? And then that stuff happens. But like getting through those days, getting through, language, probably shouldn't say it that way, but finding a way to battle on those days, those are the days when you leave the gym and you're like, I didn't give up. A ton of people my age, guys I play with, guys I played against, they would have left early. They would have, done 8 reps instead of 10. I did all friggin' 10. And part of that comes from the self-talk that you're always saying to yourself. If you're always doing that, you don't even know when a decision comes up. You're not even thinking of it. It's just second nature. This is what I'm going to do because this gets me to my goals. But if you're not always telling yourself, why am I here? What are my goals? I will do this. I'm doing this because I want that and I'm going to get that no matter what. You're going to make those better decisions, And I've seen it. It's not like this is like, I tried it once. Like, I tried this with thousands of athletes at all levels. And it works. So let's keep doing it.
So you obviously you're helping coach all of these kids. You're really helping kind of steer the way that they mentally approach the game, mentally approach their training, how hard they work. Who did that for you when you were young? Because it sounds like since you were 15 years old, you were a hard-working kid, right?
Well, I got to a point where I wasn't good enough. And I literally had to like fortify my mind or else I wouldn't have been there. And hockey was everything to me. It's all I ever wanted to do. It's all I ever thought about. And so like, it was kind of like shit or get off the pot for me. Like you either have to go all in and do everything or else your hockey career is over. And I had coaches who told me that. And I had a coach who wanted to cut me. And if I would have said I'm done, he would have cut me that second right there. I would have went home. But I'm here. I'm going. And I just kept having to find a way. And then I realized that like when I was always a leader on teams too. And so like, I'd always try and bring guys with me. And like, I just realized that like the guys who were better than me, when they would come with me to the gym or they would come with me and I'd teach them about nutrition, like they would get better. And so I just started seeing like, yeah, guys, like look how, like I'm one of the better players on this team, but it's not because of my skill. You're all more skilled than me, all of you. So what if you guys start doing the things I'm doing? Or what if you guys start talking to yourself the way I am? And I started working on that with teammates and younger guys who I would take under my wing who were going through a hard time like I did 2 years before. And I would see the change it would have in them. And I kind of like selfishly look at it as like, I'm always like, man, if I would have had me saying this when I was younger, how good would I have been? I would have figured it out sooner. And if I figured it out sooner and I had more years to develop, how much better could I have gotten? So it's like something where I'm like, I wish I had me when I was younger. Yeah. And in St. Louis, we didn't really have that growing up. And so like I took a lot of pride from 17 on coming back every summer and helping guys out. Hey guys, I learned this year. You got to be able to do this in 2 years. Let's start practicing it now. The kids who were coming up behind me. And I loved doing that. And I was a leader on every team, so I'd also do it on my teams. And then when I started my company, it was like, well, now I'm going to do this like for real. And then it just, has gone more and more people every year.
So tell us about the company. You got your GMBM on.
Yeah.
What's it stand for?
Yeah. So it was actually my first year when I retired. So 17-18 was my last season in Austria. And I came home and obviously I walked into, a business that was already pretty set up, pretty established in St. Louis here. But I was still like trying to decide where do I want to go with this? Where do I want to go with this business? Do I want to be in only hockey? Like trying to figure out, and how can I be better for my clients, for my family? Just like all these things. I want to be better. I went through a divorce, which also made me look inward and just be like, I just want to be better for everybody around me and myself. And I was with a supplement company at the time, and they flew me out to Arizona. And it was like one of those movies where it's like there was 3,000 people in this huge banquet hall, and the person on stage would say something, and everybody's like, "Oh, yes, preach!" like that. But It was like about supplements making people healthy. And at first I was kind of like, this is ridiculous. But then I was like, I got to know those people, and they all genuinely wanted to help people. Yeah. And they genuinely wanted to help people, and they made money off helping people. And I was like, well, that's the best thing in the world. Like everybody's winning. Like that's really cool. And I was just like, man, like I need to do more for my guys. I need to do more for my family. I need to like give more of myself. And my flight got canceled. So everybody from the conference flew home on like Sunday. Mine got canceled 2 days in a row. So I wound up being in Arizona 2 more days. So I have no car because like I got flown out there. So I'm just like walking around this downtown area. I don't even remember what city it was. One of the big ones out there, Scottsdale. I don't know. And I came to this like random like business park, and this sounds so out of a movie, but it's 100% true. Come to this random business park like a mile away from the hotel, and it was like beautiful. It was super quiet. It was a Monday in the middle of the day, so everybody's working, I'm guessing. And there's all these beautiful glass buildings and like all these trees and bushes and like a little pond and like little fake rivers running through it. So I was just sitting there, and I meditated my last few years. I got into meditation in my career. I'm sitting there meditating, thinking about this conference of all these positive influences that just were around me, and the energetic feeling and vibration I was having. And I was just like, I need to be more. I need to give more to everyone in my life, and I'll be more. And it just like came to me, and I was like, well, if I give more, I'll be more. And I was like, I'm gonna go get that tattooed on me right now. I Googled nearest tattoo shop. I walked 2 miles, got it tattooed on my arm right here. And then 2 months, so I started talking about that on my social media, as I just started social media back then. And my podcast, I just started a podcast that year too, the Hockey Think Tank podcast, which is now pretty big. And because of that, give more, be more. And I was saying it to people, hey, if you give more to hockey, if you give more to training, you're gonna be a better hockey player. You'll be more on the ice. If you give more to nutrition, you're gonna be more on the ice. If you give more to your family, you're gonna be a better son, brother, husband, whatever. And so in saying that on the podcast, this company who I now makes my clothing line reached out to me, and they were like, we love your message. We have this clothing line. We'd love to just send you some GMBM stuff. Actually, I think this was one of the first things they sent me.
No way.
In 2018. Still one of my favorite shirts. It was the first. And the stuff was awesome. And I was like, guys, I would love to like make a shirt and sell it to my guys just to remind them every day when they come in, like, I'm here to give more. Like, give more. Okay, other people are giving this much, give more than them. Because in the end, you're going to be more. And then it just like kept going, and the clothing line got bigger. And, you know, and then I had a Give More, Be More podcast for a while that did well. I got clothing line, and I'm actually going to change the name of my company probably to like GMT, Give More Training. Be More is like my speaking side. I do a lot of speaking now and stuff like that. So it's just, I just think it's a good motto for anybody who wants to be better at anything. Like, you're not going to get anywhere by giving less.
Right. Yeah.
Whether that's sleep, nutrition, reading, being a better person, just go out there and give more to strangers.
Yeah.
I promise you, if you're nicer to the guy in the Chipotle line, you just made them have a better day. And you're going to feel good that they are like, wow, nobody's asked me how my day is. The amount of times people at gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, where the first thing I say is like, how are you doing today? And they look up and they're like, nobody's asked me that in a month.
That's crazy.
And it's like, man, what happened to society? So I just think if you give more to everybody, whoever's in front of you, give more to that person. Give more to your studies, give more to school, give more to your family, give more to relationships, give more to your training. You're going to be better. It sounds so simple, but it's like, I'm really big in like sayings and like things like that. They help me stay. They're like the bumper things in bowling. Yeah. Like sayings help me refocus and stay in the lane.
Yeah, the blinders, right?
Like my grandma always said, like, if it is to be, it's up to me. Like, she would write it every time she'd leave. She's from Chicago. Every time she'd leave her house in St. Louis, she'd leave little notes in my bathroom. If it is to be, it's up to me. Jeffrey, if you want to be better, no one can help you. You need to go get better. You need to go train. You need to go to sleep on time. And so that was just like instilled in me, and I love sayings, and I thought GMBM was easy, and just reminds me to be better.
I love it, man. Yeah. We could sit and chat about this stuff all day long. You know, I'm thinking about even just walking around the park, you know, walking the dog, and like I intentionally try to lock eyes with people and just smile, and it's like some people are just in their little zone and they walk by and they almost like don't want to look at you, but you smile and say hello and they're like, oh hi, you know, like
and they're happy.
Catches them off guard almost. It's weird.
It's weird where society has gone, I think, and what kind of scares me is the younger generations now. They're always like, I work with a lot of kids, and so many of them can't look an adult in the eye. They don't meet somebody and shake their hand. They've always got AirPods in. Like, I'm like, dude, if this keeps going like this, what the disconnect in society? I mean, we're seeing it with politics and all these things where everybody's at each other's throats all the time, but nobody ever looks up, looks someone in the eye, and talks to them. Right. And that's like so much of all these like bad things in the world would just be better if we were polite, nice,
in a room next to each other, like talking, right?
Like, you don't care what your views are, but let's talk like human beings and you know, not kill each other. You know, we're in the same country, the same world, the same universe, same everything. We don't need less connection. We need more connection.
Yeah. It's funny, your grandma was such an influence on you. My grandpa was always the one, he's like, when you meet somebody, you look them in the eye, you shake their hand, you squeeze their hand. So like even my 10-year-old, we're like, what does Grandpa Val say? Look them in the eye, shake their hand, squeeze. So it's awesome. That brings back a ton of memories.
Every kid who comes to me who's new and their parents are coming in and I stick out my hand and no. Look me in the eye, shake my hand like you mean it. Make me believe that you want to be here, you know? And like every kid. And it's like, you do that out in the world. Yeah. And for me now, one of the coolest things ever is when scouts call me and go, hey, do you work with this guy? Yeah, I knew you did because of this, and this, because of the way he talked to me, the way that he shook my hand, the way that he showed up to our meeting. He had a collared shirt on and nice pants, and he combed his hair, and other kids are showing up like they're going to a concert. And so it's like a weird like parenting moment for me. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to hear that, you know?
Yeah, there's so many coaches that are listening to this podcast right now that I know are like, man, that's what I want to do with my students, with my clients, with my golfers.
It doesn't take a lot of extra effort. It's a little bit of effort every day, and it's just hammering home those details. Yeah. Be a good person. No. Like a simple one for me, and I say it to all, especially when I have new teams or new clients coming in, I'm like, hey, everybody grab a mat. And I watch and I see which guys grab multiple mats and pass them out to their teammates. And then I stop the room every single time. That was a test. See what he did right there? What did he do? He's a good teammate right there. Why is he a good teammate? I don't know. Because I asked you all to do something and he went up and he helped everybody else. That's who we want on our team. That's who, if I'm a business owner, I want that guy. And all the business owners out there, they want that guy. Mm-hmm. Don't be the guy who only thinks about himself. Think about the other people in the room. Think about, all these things. And it takes 5 extra seconds every day doing that. And now all these kids, what's really cool is my guys who don't make it to pro or play lower level college or whatever, and to see them be successful in life after hockey and they're doing the same things we did in the gym.
Right.
It's very cool. Yeah. It's very cool.
It plays out in everything.
Everything. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Absolutely. All right, my man. We're going to finish up with some fun questions here. I got a feeling I know your answer to this one, but Caddyshack or Happy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore, obviously. I love Caddyshack, but Happy Gilmore, 100%.
I heard you once say that your skating style was much like Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I was really fast, but really ugly. And so I always tell guys, hey, you're better than me. Do what I did and you'll be even better, because I skated like Happy Gilmore.
So earlier you were talking about how different guys have different roles on the team. I'm just curious, what was Jeff Lovecchio's role?
I'd say I was like a power forward. So like I had to play down low, heavy minutes, lots of penalty killing. If I was on the power play, it's in front of the net, getting beat up, trying to screen the goalie, kind of unselfish stuff like that, putting myself in danger areas, like just that type of stuff. Like I could score goals, but I wasn't like a goal scorer and like it was finesse. It was usually ugly. But what I would always say is they don't ask how, they ask how many.
Yep.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely. All right, if you could pick a walk-up song. I'm going to say to the first tee box. I know you haven't played a whole lot of golf, but what's your walk-up song?
Live Your Life by Rihanna and T.I. Yeah, specifically Rihanna's part in that. Before every single speech, I listen to that song.
Awesome.
Yeah, every speech.
All right, I have a feeling you're going to have a couple answers for this one, but is there a book that has meant a ton to you? We've already talked about Mike Boyle's, but a book that's meant a lot to you that you recommend maybe to your guys. Yeah. Doesn't have to be training, doesn't have to be hockey, whatever.
The Secret is the first one I want all my guys reading. The Law of Attraction, just like attracts like, where your mind goes, energy flows. I think all of that is very, very important, and it changed my life. I read that book on the plane right after I signed with the Bruins, going to Providence. And, I had coaches and people being like, you're not ready to play pro. And I read that book cover to cover in a day and a half. And I scored a goal and assist, and I was first star in my first pro game. And usually I was like known for celebrating really hard when I would score because I was just so happy. Mm-hmm. And I stood still and just looked at like the sky, and I was like, I knew I could do this. And it was like, I attribute to my feeling going into that game a lot to reading The Secret the day before. I really believe in that stuff. So The Secret, the other one that I read recently, I'm not a big reader, I should be way better, is RSF. And it's written by a guy from St. Louis, Relentless Solutions Focus.
Oh, Jason Self.
Yes. Yeah. That book, I've been dialed ever since I read that book last year.
He's going to be in here in 3 weeks.
No way, dude. Yeah. I've never met him. A buddy of mine was like, you got to read this book. And my wife will say she doesn't love it because we'll go on walks or we're talking and she comes up with a problem. And I'm like, you got 60 seconds. 60 seconds, go. You can talk about it for 60. What's one thing we can do right now that's going to move the needle? And like, that's how my brain thinks. And that is, I was already in that kind of like, don't sit and sulk and whatever. But like RSF, read that book. Read that book.
I literally just ordered it yesterday.
Oh, you're going to love it, man. It's the same thing, hammering you over and over and over. And then you get to the end of the book and you start practicing it in your life and you're like, oh my God, yes. Like, you're going to love it. It's awesome.
Perfect. All right, if you could pick a dream foursome to go play some golf with, could be celebrities, could be historical figures, alive, dead, doesn't matter who it is.
Oh,
who are you picking?
I'd say Joe Rogan, Conor McGregor, Dana White probably. Weird that they're all like fighting guys. It's not because of fighting.
The toughest on a golf course ever.
It has nothing to do with like fighting. Conor McGregor, because his mindset when he was Conor McGregor, before he lost his first fight to Diaz, he was RSF. He was The Secret. He embodied all that. He talked about The Secret and the Law of Attraction all the time. And he believed it and he lived it. When he went into his first fight with Diaz that he lost, and that changed his career trajectory from then on, I knew at the weigh-ins that he was going to lose and that he wasn't the same because of like his eye contact and stuff. And I could tell that like he didn't believe in himself. But like I say to people, it doesn't even matter, dude. The guy had like probably $400 million at that point, $300 million.
Yeah.
How do you go in and fight for your life when you got $400 million in the bank? I don't know how anybody could do that. But that's why Joe Rogan, because he's just interviewed some of the smartest people in the world, his perspective on things I love, and Dana White for things that he's done during COVID and things that like I align with him on. I really respect what he did, and I think he's a true American. So, and I think those three together would be hilarious.
Oh my God, that would be quite a time. Yeah. All right, I don't know if you know many golf courses, but our typical question is if there's a bucket list golf course for you to go to, like if we could fuel up the 18 Strong jet, you can go anywhere you want. Where are you going to play? And then I have a follow-up question, a hockey version of that for you.
So I don't really know a ton about golf, but this past summer, a couple of my clients Wides was one of them, went to a wedding in I think it was Scotland. Is there like a really good course in Scotland with like a castle on it?
St. Andrews.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I saw pictures and I was like, and they were telling me how beautiful it was and how like prestigious it is. And I was like, I've never been to Scotland. That would probably be it.
Yeah, that one's like, that's the home of golf, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
St. Andrews is the home of golf.
Yeah.
So the hockey version of this, in your pro career, is there a place that you never got to play in that you want, that is like the number one place that you would have loved to get your skates on the ice?
Let's see. In the NHL in preseason, I got to play in every Canadian rink, which was really cool. And I got to play in Boston, so that was cool. I'd probably say just like against the Blues in St. Louis, just because like I grew up here at a time where like almost no guys were going pro, very very few, and now it's a lot different. And if I could have played a game in St. Louis, that would have been very very cool. Just to have been a kid who grew up watching the Blues and didn't see a lot of guys from St. Louis making it. It would have been cool to play there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now that you have a monster following on social media, is there one social media account that you think the 18 Strong crew should check out? Whether it's training wise, mentality, whatever. Who's somebody we should follow?
I have a couple. Number one, Vernon Griffith.
Yeah.
Okay, love him. Trying to get him out to St. Louis this summer. I've talked to him. I think he's going to come out. Vernon Griffith, because I think that with golf, a lot of his hip, T-spine, I think all that stuff could really help golfers, and like how they work together, and then adding in the shoulder. I think he's just phenomenal for anybody who rotates, so everyone. Also, my buddy Cliff Harsky, I think his Instagram is Clifton Harsky. He's not only a kettlebell guy, but he shows a lot of stuff with kettlebells. He's a really big, he's like a coach of a lot of coaches you probably know and follow, like that are big time. And he does a lot of stuff with kettlebells that I've never seen and I really, really like. I just did one of his certifications in Nashville like 3 weeks ago. Worked out with him at First Form this past Friday with a new client of mine who's a pro pickleball player from St. Louis. And I just think that the way that he uses kettlebells, traveling, moving while he's using them, not just standing still, I think that will help anyone who moves and any athlete with acceleration, deceleration, rotation, fluidity, all these things. I think it would help any athlete in any sport.
Very cool.
Yep.
Awesome. We'll check it out. All right. Any last pieces of advice for the 18 Strong crew? And then tell them where they can go find you and everything.
Piece of advice, just give more. Like, whatever you want in life, like reverse engineer your goals. Like, for the love of God, take time to write down what you want out of life. I don't care how big or how small it is. Write it down. And then decide why you want that. Do I really want this? Why do I want this? Because if you connect that why with the what, you're going to want to reverse engineer the steps from today, day one, to what can I be doing to get to my goals? You can never get there if you don't decide the what and the why. You'll never get there. So decide that stuff, and it will change your life, because then you can see I'm off course. You don't know if you're off course if you don't know the destination, right? Like, you don't know you're over here when you're trying to go to here unless you decided you're going here. So you've got to decide that stuff, and then really connect with a strong why. Because if you connect with a strong why, nothing can stop you. And then as far as finding me, I just send everybody to my Instagram. It's my name, @Jeff Lovecchio, the word love, CCHIO, or my new website, GMBM.com.
Awesome.
Really, and what's really cool about my website is that 2 of my clients that I've had since they were little kids who are freshmen in college this year at 20 years old. They built my website.
Did they really?
It's one of the best websites of anyone in my space I've ever seen.
It's so good.
Because of them at 20. And I just think it's really cool that I was able to teach these kids all these things that I've learned in life. And now they've taught me about the website and they've built it. And I got to pay people who paid me for a decade. I got to kind of pay that back to them. So for me, it's really cool. And it's been a fun project working with it, with them.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on today. I mean, speaking personally, I've been following you for a long time, and I know we're in different worlds, the hockey world, the golf world. A lot of that crosses over, though, too, right? Especially here in St. Louis. There's a lot of crossover there. But I just want to say that I really appreciate what you're doing, not just from the physicality of the fitness side of things, but the mentality side. I think that there's so much that everybody listening to this show, everybody that is interested in fitness, mindset, needs to go follow you. So thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thank you. Now let's see how I swing the ball, the club here.
Yeah, we're going to see how it goes. Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast. And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to share with your friends. And of course, go follow us over on Instagram at 18 Strong. Thanks again. We'll catch up with you next week. Train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.